record. Dan Ives, Wedbush Securities Global Head of Technology Research, joins us now. Buy rating on Apple, longtime bull. Price target $325. What's your biggest takeaway?
I mean, much better than feared. And I think if you go back to sort of the bear thesis, the skeptics, it's sort of that iPhone demand's fallen off a cliff. Actually, I disagree. If you look, Apple Intelligence, especially what we're seeing in the U.S., having a positive impact. And that guidance, that's really reflecting right now. I think you have a trajectory to where you're going to ultimately have accelerated growth in China starting, I think, in the June quarter. You could have double-digit China growth as Apple Intelligence launches, we believe, ultimately probably in the month of April.
What did we learn overall about Apple Intelligence and the uptake? And was there anything surprising? Because it's been hard to get a narrative on whether this is really working in the way they expected.
Yeah, and look, we've talked about a lot on the show about all of our Asia checks. I think the first thing you're looking at is that Apple Intelligence is driving upgrades. It says it's the strongest upgrade core they've ever had. So I think that is really positive in terms of iPhone 16 over iPhone 15 because that's all part of this multi-year massive upgrade cycle, called an elongated super cycle that you're going to see. And also, it's about the install base. Install base is now up 7% year over year, 150 million new devices added to the Apple ecosystem. Look, that speaks to our thesis. You could sort of go through each quarter and sort of nitpick, but ultimately it's about the golden install base of Cupertino, and ultimately the consumer AI revolution runs through Cupertino. And that's even why this week, despite all the panic with DeepSeek, Apple stock was up because investors have started to recognize they're a toll collector, one way or another. If it's U.S., China, Middle, wherever it's coming from, the consumer AI revolution, 25% of consumers will ultimately access AI through Apple.
Yeah, we've talked about them being kind of a free rider. Yeah. China, though, I mean, they continue to face increased competition, Xiaomi or others in the market. What gives you the confidence that when they add the AI features, whatever may even be allowed by the Chinese government, that it's actually going to really cause an uptick in sales?
Yeah, and like that would probably be the biggest debatable point here is like what's going to give confidence that China is going to reverse. Look, and I think whether it's Baidu, Tencent, in terms of when that partner is announced, part of it is 100 million have been upgraded in basically 3.5, 4 years in China. So there is a pent-up upgrade. They've gained 200 bips of market share, and from all of our checks, in China, really across Asia, it's showing that demand's there for a reason to upgrade. And I think with Apple Intelligence, as they roll out more features, remember, .3, .4, and continues, this is really going to be the start as more and more apps are built on top of Apple Intelligence in the U.S., and especially what we see coming out of China in terms of catalyzing demand.
So all of these third-party surveys that suggested consumers were not moved by Gen AI offerings, is that because they just haven't seen the good stuff yet?
Yeah, because this is just the beginning where you're going to have ultimately hundreds of apps that are going to be developed on top of Apple Intelligence that whether it's health, whether it's fitness, whether it's financials, regardless of different verticals, eventually autonomous robotics, it'll all come through Apple. And I think that's why our view here is that to look at this and say that they're behind, okay, round one, maybe they lost. Round two, with 2.3 billion iOS devices and 1.5 billion iPhones, you could lose the first round if you ultimately participate in second, third, fourth round. And that's where we are. And this is just the beginning of the AI revolution.
What about value?